and welcome to the Hidden Secrets of College and Trust Funds. I want to talk to you today about some of the secrets that are hidden about college funds and trust funds and how they're intertwined and related, but it's been kind of hidden from the middle class. And we're going to talk about how we can take advantage of some secrets of the wealthy, particularly about college funds and trust funds. I just want to dive right in here. Again, my name is Jerome Bell. I'm the founder of Mega School, and Mega School is high school except it's for adults. So whenever you find yourself saying, "Man, I wish I learned that in school," Mega School is opportunity to learn it right now of adults, anything from obscure to mainstream to anything in between. I have an IT background, software engineering, got into cryptocurrencies, and started to go down that rabbit hole of what does money even really mean and how does it actually work, and actually stumbled across some very powerful information about college fundraising. I'm here to share that with you today. I also have a more personal reason to share this. I'm starting a teen program, and it's going to be a mix between financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and civics. And in this teen program, we're going to be focusing a lot on artificial intelligence, AI, and staying one step ahead of AI, because if you don't, it's going to make or break whether or not AI is going to serve you or destroy you. So if we stay one step ahead of AI, everything's going to be good. And also, as I mentioned, cryptocurrencies is a focus of mine and something that I have expertise in. And I go with a different direction with it when it comes to the youth about the true future of cryptocurrency. So with that being said, I just want to set the tone and say there's enough money to go around. There's enough money for every single person in America to have $300,000 per person, not per household, not per family, per individual person. And that's because there's $100 trillion total in America. Evenly spread that amongst all Americans, that's $300,000 per person. So I say if that's the true even spread, that's the true middle, that's the true middle class. And so anything that we're doing that's moving us towards $300,000 of buying power, $300,000 of net worth is really moving towards the true middle class. So it shouldn't surprise us that there's ways to move towards 300,000 per person. But just keep that just as a frame of reference and some numbers there to back it up. So one of the things when it comes to education is ironically, where's the education for how to pay for education? So a bit of a paradox there. We have very limited information on how to actually pay for education. So this class is meant to go against the grain and share the hidden information on how education can be funded, not just now, but even ongoing. So this issue affects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're making $2 million or $2. And let me show you something to help illustrate the point.
That's okay. We're straight. We're gonna talk. Go ahead. You said your career is not exactly what you would have wanted it to be, but this proves it. What's not on? Step on it.
I'll tell it. We're
Tell
not going to sugarcoat anything anymore. We've been quiet long enough. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right.
All right.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. We are the biggest selling female group ever. 10 million albums worldwide. We have worked very hard. We have been in this business for 5 years.
5 years.
And we are broke as broke can be. And we're not like trying to be a sad story. If that was the case, we would have been on everybody's talk show talking about how broke we are. We haven't done that. I know it's hard to believe because we've sold so many albums, but it is possible. That's the deal here. So, and we're not happy at all. But for real, tonight, this is all we wanted. We wanted to win a Grammy, at least one, and we won 2. And that proves that we are the jam.
Chili, can you wait? Because I heard Bo.
Now they go on to say how they they go on to say the breakdown of how they were broke, even after selling 10 million albums, obviously winning 2 Grammys at the height of their success. See, financial literacy affects us all. if they had a team of financial advisors to tell them a bad contract, the managers are trying to scam you, you're paying the most taxes possible. There's ways to protect yourself. So, like TLC and teens can protect themselves from high taxation, from being able to steal from your college fund because it's leaking into taxes and things like that. But financial literacy is the key. And that's what we're going to talk about here on how to pay for college and then some, but also just taking a more holistic, integrated approach as well. So, what is college cost these days? 2024 to 2025, according to US News, $11,000 in state for public school. Public out of state, 24,000, and private schools is 43,000. That's the average. So these are the numbers that people are trying to save up for a college fund, okay? So let's talk about the education on how to be able to afford that. All right? So imagine we're doing a research paper. We're doing a research paper, and here's the assignment. What is the best way to fund your education? Now, if we just talk about scholarships and grants, and there's a difference between the two, we probably won't get an A. In fact, we'll probably get no more than a C. If we talk about scholarships where you got to do something to earn it, be it athletics, be it keeping up a grade, a grant is just they give you the money, but you still got to apply for it. So you need to find out where they actually are, and even getting a federal loan like FAFSA, right? But there's caveats with that, right? Because you even if you file for bankruptcy, those student loans aren't forgiven. So there's caveats with all of them. But even if we mention those three in this research paper, we would probably get no more than a C plus, because what about all the other ways to fund education besides the kind of standard three options that's given to us? That's what we're going to look at today. And one thing that every adult knows is that education never ends. We never stop getting educated. So whether that's doing professional workshops, whether that's going on spiritual retreats, whether or not that's taking a trip possibly to another continent to learn about information that you can't find in your neck of the woods that might relate to health, that might relate to history, that might relate to your family history, your own family history, whatever the case is. And for that reason, funding for education never ends, right? So one of the things that wealthy people do is that they're always investing in their own education, whether that's college or not, whether it's between that 11,000 and 43,000 a year. There's always a standing budget and standing funding for that education. So here's something that we never necessarily, we almost kind of forgot about it. But President Trump, he made a promise in 2016. He made a promise to disclose and share some information before the 2016 election. And that was his tax return. Remember that? He said, I promise I'm going to give you my tax return. To this day, he hasn't done it. And we all know that we saw that tax return, we would see how he's able to pay little to nothing in taxes, where his housekeeper pays more in taxes than he does, right? So what he has hidden, and I'm not disparaging him, and this image, I'm not being disrespectful, this very image is up in the White House, okay? But the very things that he's trying to hide, we can share with one another as middle class, and I'm going to do it right now with you. See, the key to paying little to nothing in taxes is trust. And what is a trust? It is literally a three-party contract. We know what a two-party contract is. Bob and Sally both sign on the contract. That's a two-party contract. A trust is a three-party contract. There is the creator. That's the one who's creating the trust. Think about the trust fund. Think of trust fund, baby. There's a trustee. They're the one who's overseeing the funds in the trust. They're overseeing the money. They're the only one who can do anything with the trust. And then there's the beneficiary. They're the one who gets the money. So let's look at a trust fund, baby, for an example. Who's the creator? You got the parents. They're the ones creating the trust fund. They have $250,000. The child's only 10 years old. They want them to get it when they're 18. Well, the trustee is going to oversee the funds in the trust fund, until the child is old enough. So it's somebody who they would literally trust, like a godparent. Okay, the godparents overseeing the money until the child turns 18, and then they get the money. They are the beneficiary. The child's the beneficiary. So that's what a trust fund baby is. That's kind of the naive way to set up a trust. Here's how we will actually do it. Because we want to own nothing but control everything. What that means is that your car, your house, your precious metal, your real estate is not owned in your name. It's owned in the name of the trust, in the trust fund. And so when you're going to the grocery store, okay, instead of you swiping with your personal debit card, you're going to swipe with the trust debit card. You don't want anything in your name. You don't want to own anything, own nothing, but control everything. Here's how you do it. So the way you would actually set up a trust, the wise way, the way the wealthy have done it for over 100 years, is that the creator could be anybody. That's because the trust that we care about is an irrevocable complex trust in the jurisdiction of English common law. Irrevocable means that the creator of the trust can't take anything out of the trust. So they can't reach into the trust fund and take anything, the creator. And that's in the trust contract, that the creator cannot take anything out of the trust. The creator is also sometimes called the grantor. So for that reason, the creator could be anybody. Now the trustee, going with the trust fund baby example we did, the parent is actually the trustee. Okay? And how would they pass it on to the child? The child is the successor trustee. That means they're like the backup trustee. So basically, when the child turns 18, the parent resigns as trustee, and then the child becomes the primary trustee. They hold the keys to the kingdom. They don't own the 250,000, but they're the only ones who can control it and spend the 250,000. All right. And then the beneficiary, who gets the leftover? It depends. That's where things get strategic. We're going to show you a strategy to pay close to nothing in taxes. So first we need to talk about jurisdiction, because not all trusts are equal. There's something called English common law. We already know about federal, state, and local law, but above federal law is English common law. There's a law above it. That is England, the King of England, English common law. So we all know that American Indian nations, and I'm using that term because that's how the federal government uses it in treaties and official government dealings. So Indian nations, we know they can have casinos, but that goes against federal law. How are they able? They're within the borders of the U.S. How are they able to have casinos when it's against the law? Because Indian nations are not in the jurisdiction of the federal government. Okay, that is why. And we know about state law, which is subject to federal, and local, which is subject both to state and federal. That we know. So when you set up your trust properly, the way we teach and the way we help people to do, you set up your trust under English common law. That means your trust is co-equal with Indian nations and the federal government itself. So in the same way the federal government can't regulate an Indian nation, so the federal government can't regulate your trust. This is the ultimate power. And this is something that all Americans have access to. We just didn't know it until now in this class. So we LLCs and corporations, we probably heard of that. That's created by the state. The state creates LLCs and corporations, and that's why states can regulate LLCs and corporations. And that's why the federal government, being higher, can also regulate LLCs and corporations, but they can't regulate your trust. So this is true power that we've had since day one of this nation, but we just didn't know it. And we help people to set up their trust and live in liberty. See, the trust is ultimately going to be your college fund. The trust fund is the ultimate college fund. This is how you not only have a college fund now that's protected, but to have a college fund that's passed down from generation to generation. Let's see how that looks like. You have what I've heard called a trust trilogy. That is your business trust. All your income, whatever you're doing to make income, is coming into the business trust. And then you funnel money from the business trust into your family trust. This is where you're doing all your personal spending. This is where I said, instead of swiping with your personal debit card at the grocery store, you're swiping with the family trust debit card. Anything left over is funneled into the foundation trust. You hear about Oprah Winfrey having a trust, LeBron James having a trust, Jay-Z, Beyonce having a foundation, right? These foundations, it's not about just charity. It is a 501c3 organization, but not all 501c3s are equal. A foundation has some special, powerful privileges that make it a tax shelter. We're going to see what that looks like. So let's go through a concrete example. I made the math easy with the numbers. The business trust has $150,000 coming in as revenue. They have $50,000 of expenses. That leaves $100,000 of profit. Now we're going to send all the profit to the family trust because the beneficiary of the business trust is going to be the family trust. So the business trust is actually paying zero in taxes because the $50,000 of expenses, that's deductible. But that $100,000 that went to the family trust in the IRS tax code, any money that goes to the beneficiary is tax deductible. So the business trust has $150,000 coming in, has $150,000 of deductions. That means the business trust pays zero in taxes. Now that family trust where we're doing the personal spending, you get $100,000 coming in, $80,000 is actually being spent. You only spend $80,000 again swiping at the grocery store. Okay, $20,000 is left over. So you send that over to the foundation. The beneficiary of the family trust is the foundation. The family trust is paying zero in tax. You had $100,000 come in. Those $80,000 that was spent, that's all tax deductible. Why? Anything that's contractually obligated in the trust contract is an expense, and therefore it is a deduction. So all $80,000 will be a deduction. The $20,000 went to the beneficiary, our foundation. So then that's deductible too. $100,000 in, $100,000 of deductions. That family trust is paying zero in taxes. That leaves where the magic happens. Foundation. $20,000 is coming into the foundation. And there's one major requirement in the IRS tax code for a foundation is that 5% of the income must go to a charity. Well, we are our own charity. So that 1,000, that's 1,000, 5% of 20,000 is the $1,000 that we have to pay in tax. Okay. So that, but it's going to our own foundation, our own charitable cause, right? We pick that. So what happens to the remaining $19,000? It's recycled back to the business trust. All right. So one quick note, that effectively we were working with $100,000 of personal spending. We only spent $1,000 on taxes. That's effectively a 1% tax rate. So then when we look at how we recycle this money, this is what it looks like. They are literally recycling their money. And so one thing to note is that the trustee of all three of these trusts is the same person. So the same person who's a trustee of the business trust is also the trustee of the family trust and is also the trustee of the foundation trust. And that same person is making sure the money is recycled. And then when it passes on to the next generation, tax-free, because basically the children just become the new trustees and they're taught how to do this recycle system in this trust trilogy. And so they just continue intergenerationally, generation after generation, they keep recycling the money. See, folks, we're told as middle class people, it's about working hard. Of course, you got to work hard. That's a given. But that's not the secret to success. When you're playing by different rules, you can't outbeat rules that favor you with hard work. It just doesn't make sense. And this is what's missing. And so we are sharing this information and mainstreaming among the middle class so that we can win just the same. Now, when we talk about that's the trust fund, that's what's holding ultimately the college fund. So now we want to talk about the actual raising the funds for college. Okay. So that means we want to increase our buying power. So a couple key concepts when it comes to actually raising the funds that goes into the trust fund, that goes into our college fund. We know savings account, we know that the deal with that. They don't even keep up with inflation. So the savings account, is really leaking money because the interest is less than inflation. And really, a savings account is supposed to be above inflation. You're supposed to actually be making money, but it's not. In contrast, we all heard this about gold. If you had an ounce of gold in the 80s, you could say buy an Italian suit. But that same ounce of gold today can buy you an Italian suit. What that means is that gold, in contrast with the savings account, gold holds on to its buying power. It holds its buying power. It locks in buying power. Okay. So this is very important because when we talk about raising funds for college, we're not talking about any funny business or creative accounting like the savings account, where it's actually losing you money instead of making you money. So we're being real strict here. And we already talked about the fund, which is just holding the money, versus funding, increasing your buying power. Okay. They're different. Cash versus cash flow. We're not interested in just having a stack of cash. We want a constant flow, positive cash flow coming in to our trust fund, our college fund. Okay. So that being said, when we look about how we fundraise, the order matters. We want to snowball our money. That's what that means. If you manage your money in the right order, it'll snowball. If you don't do it in the right order, it will not snowball. So just pay attention to order as we go along. So we already addressed this. Why is my child's college fund not already funded? You just didn't know, but we're here to fix that. We're here to share information. And how do the wealthy fundraise for college? They use trust funds, and they're following a strategy that is actually literally quite simple. SIMPLE, the simple fundraising formula. You're going to shift, increase, multiply, and protect your money in that order, all while leveraging everything. Shifting means the money that's leaving your checking account, we're going to shift that right on back. That's called expense reduction, lowering your expenses. Shifting the money leaving your checking account, shifting it right on back, keeping more of your money. Increasing your money means that you have another stream of income. Okay, so if you already have multiple, we're going to add another one. If you only have one stream of income, we're going to get at least two. All right. And then 3, that's the sexy part. People like to jump to that. That's when your money is making money. That's when you have passive investments, what people love to talk about. Steps 1 and 2 come before. And we actually started with step 4 just to keep the end in mind, which is the trust fund, the ultimate college fund. So let's dig into the practical, tangible implementation of how to follow the simple fundraising formula. And fortunately, there's a program that already exists that implements that universal principle, the simple fundraising formula. Let's take a look.
Have you ever wondered why the rich get richer while the masses struggle financially? They have an unfair advantage. Unlike you, they have a team of financial experts who ensure they make more money, keep more of the money they make, and that their money makes money for them. And now, you can too. Most Americans can't afford financial experts and have been left to figure it out on their own. We were never taught how to become wealthy in school. Now you know why less than 5% of Americans are considered wealthy. This is why we've created the only lifestyle and legacy company that provides affordable access to your own personal team of financial experts who will handle all the important but complicated financial work for you while guaranteeing your success. Contact the person who shared this video to schedule a lifestyle and legacy conversation today. Your unfair advantage is waiting.
See, the Make Wealth Real program, they've actually implemented the simple fundraising formula. They're focused on your lifestyle right now and building wealth right now as you're living, as well as passing it on. So looking at it from a holistic standpoint, we want to look at how we can leverage that system to be able to fundraise for college, right? And I love how they said unfair advantage, because that's what it is. Right now, you watching this, you have the unfair advantage because you have education, all right? And so if you have that team of experts, as they mentioned, like TLC, if they had a team of experts, they would have been able to save so many headaches. But let's look at this. An expense versus an investment. What's the difference? Is education an expense or is education an investment? Well, the answer boils down to what do you get in return? If you're getting more in return, then education is an investment. But if you're not getting more than what you're putting in, then that's an expense. So the same goes for this program. The program, the Make Wealth Real program, costs $150 a month. The first thing people ask is that an expense? Is that a monthly expense? Or is that a monthly return on investment? The first order of business, we want to shift that $150 straight on back. We want this to be a monthly return on investment, not a monthly expense. So they have a 30-day money back guarantee in this program. They're saying they're going to make sure you get more than $150 of cash back within a 30-day window, or you get a full refund, no questions asked. I like to show 24. They don't do it quite in 24 hours. They guarantee in 30 days, but in all practical purposes, 72 hours. It takes 72 hours to get that initial cash infusion where you can get more than $150 of cash back. I've had parents who've gone through this program already, and they've already experienced that. But it only takes 72 hours, and it'll take 30 days. But they do guarantee it. So we look at shifting our income back to us. This is a fundraiser. This is where the money is coming from that's going to go into the college fund. It's coming from somewhere. And so first things first is this concept of debt to wealth. The process of getting out of debt is also a process of building wealth. So when we talk about shifting our income back to us, keeping more of our money, we want to focus on our biggest expenses, not random expenses. Biggest one. That's government in the form of taxes. That's banks in the form of interest, and big business, right? Those monthly bills that's going to these huge corporations. We want to lower those expenses because they're the biggest ones. We get the biggest bang for our buck. So the first step is we go through the Eliminate My Debt program within the Make Wealth Real program. So they have the Eliminate My Debt component. If you follow the bank's payment schedule for paying off your debt, you're going to pay maximum interest. They show you immediately straight away. You put in your mortgage, your student loans, your car note, your credit card debt, you put them all in there, and they'll show you the right order to pay off those debts, a monthly payment schedule, and you'll pay the minimum interest. This is where people out the gate will start to get savings of thousands of dollars without any additional cost. They're just paying it most efficiently through the expertise of the debt eliminators. But then they start to snowball their money, right? So this is where the funds are coming for college. See, we get a tax refund, but the tax experts in this program, these are CPAs and IRS enrolled agents, that's the ones who are doing this. They help you to get next year's tax return right now. Next year's tax return right now is called an instant pay raise. And the instant pay raise is going to be reflected through your paycheck. You're going to keep more of your paycheck because these tax experts are going to help you get next year's tax return right now. Now, one of the parents that went through this program, that I helped go through this program, they got $600 a month through Reduce My Taxes. Now, instead of just buying toys, okay, they applied it to their mortgage. That goes back to Eliminate My Debt. So that $600 a month, they applied it to their mortgage. And that has a compound effect over time where you're literally saving tens of thousands of dollars. So he's literally saving tens of thousands of dollars. So when it says, where does the college money come from? When you get $10,000 plus of savings, that's where your college funds are coming from. You actually already have it to a significant degree, and we're just getting started. I didn't know this even existed, but there's something called bill negotiator. So in this program, there are licensed attorneys who will negotiate your bills down, and people save between $100 to $400 a month through this bill negotiator. So again, now we're going to snowball it. Instead of buying toys, right, or going out to eat more, no, we don't change our lifestyle. We take those savings that those attorneys got us and we apply it to our debt. Again, saving up even more thousands of dollars. So now that's where the college funds are coming from. It's coming from those savings that we're snowballing. And then there's something called health sharing, which is different than health insurance. Health sharing is something we've all thought about. Why can't we just pool our money together? And then when somebody has a medical issue, then they just pay for it from that pool of money. That's what health sharing is. It's ran by a nonprofit. What it is exactly that. Wipe your debit card at the doctor's office or at the hospital, and it's pulling from a pool of funds that many people have put together. Since no one is trying to make money, it's not health insurance, then typically the premiums are way cheaper. I had a parent who went through this program and he was able to shave off $100 a month. So again, he snowballed it. He applied that $100 of savings, it went to his debt, and then that frees up thousands of dollars over time. So then where is his children's college fund coming from? It's coming from those thousands of dollars that's freed up. Now, again, you see right here in the middle is the debt to wealth. There's a tipping point in which as those savings keeps being applied to your debt, there's a way to start getting a high yield account where you can get interest on those savings. The savings that's going towards your debt, you can get a compound interest on it, which helps to even accelerate all the more the paying down of your debt. All right. This is something that's been done for over 100 years by the wealthy, and not everybody knows how to do it, but the experts, the financial experts in this program, they know how to do it, and they do it for us. They'll do it for anybody. Credit restoration. Cambridge Credit has been around for 30 years. They provide the credit restoration service. They are a nonprofit. When your credit score goes up, you can get lower interest rates. Lower interest rates means now you're in a position to be able to pay less in those debts. That's where you get more thousands of dollars freed up. And that is what's paying for the college fund. It's the freeing up of the money that you already have. And there is actually specifically a student loan debt relief program provided by the same credit restoration, Cambridge Credit. So what they do is that they kind of pre-vet scholarships and grants and other programs. And David Pitts out of South Carolina, he got $30,000 of student loan relief. So they can either reduce student loans or even eliminate them. Well, when David is getting $30,000 of his own loans freed up, then those savings of $30,000 can go towards his children's college fund. And also for those who haven't gone to college yet, you can proactively leverage this program so that you can use pre-vetted programs to know, because we know it's not all equal out there with scholarships and grants and things like that. So they kind of pre-vet the good ones, and they're proactive in helping you to apply for them. And that's what the parents are saying. Because we have tracked this across the nation with the performance. There's a rent-to-own program in here, and that really deserves its own conversation. But the rent-to-own says if you have no credit or terrible credit, you can still be a homeowner within 30 days, in as little as 30 days. Once you start to build equity in a home, you can take out a line of credit. Now, that's not the first choice for paying for college, but it's better to take out a line of credit from your own home to help pay for your children's college than to take out a federal FAFSA loan. Why? Even if you file for bankruptcy, did you know that you're still on the hook for student loans, right? So it's better to take out a loan from yourself than from the government if it comes down to that. So that's one of the benefits of home ownership. And then there's a $150 spending credit. And that $150 rolls over month to month. So then if you're using that $150 of spending credit at various merchants across the nation, then that's less expense out of your checking account. That can go to the debt. That's what snowballs, and that's where you're freeing up more thousands of dollars. That's where your college funding is coming from. It's those savings. So now we're just snowballing and snowballing. In aggregate, we've tracked this across the nation for the past several years. And on average, the monthly cash back is $2,000 a month. That's kind of the monthly average. So when you have that, this is where the college funds are coming from. you actually already have it. Possibly all of what you need, but certainly much of it, just through the shifting your money back to you. And when you do that, that's what makes all the difference in the world. So we've more than satisfied. Now I say if you're a C student and you want to say, what about that original 150? Just do these three. Eliminate my debt, instant pay raise, and the debt to wealth consultation. That's what a C student in this program, if you were a C student, you do just these three and leave the rest. All right. At least you'll get your money back within 30 days, really 72 hours. But if you're an F student, all right, even if you fail, you still can get a return on investment in your first 72 hours. Just do the instant pay raise, right? But let them prove themselves with the instant pay raise, and then let's get to that snowball in your money. So this is truly a powerful program, and we're just getting started. Again, 30-day money back guarantee. Doesn't take 30 days, 72 hours, but they are contractually obligated to make sure you get more than $150 cash back, guaranteeing that you have a return on investment within 30 days. We know happens within 72 hours. They won't ask you for a refund if you're that rare 1%. So we talk about this simple fundraising strategy. There's only so much you can do with shifting your income. Then we need to look towards increasing your income. Another stream of income to increase your buying power. So what that means is that we talked about scholarships and grants, and usually that's the go-to. But here's the gotcha. Once again, it's an investment of time and energy. If you go for those $20,000, $30,000 scholarships and grants, it's unlikely you're going to get them because one, there's fewer of them, and two, more people are applying for them. So the strategy is to go for $500,000 grants and just do more of those. Okay, but then now that's an investment of time and energy. So that's why you ask any college student, well, why haven't you applied for more scholarships and grants? And they give you that look because what they're saying is, look, that's an investment of time and energy. And while it's free, it's not free when you're paying in time and energy. Because the question is, what if you spent that same time and energy and just get a job promotion and get more money that way? Or what if you start investing in real estate? That's a proven method. What if you bought a restaurant franchise? That's a cookie cutter, scientific, proven success strategy. You could do a side hustle like DoorDash or Uber, right? To get more money. You're going to be investing that time and energy. What if you just start a new business? You have skills already. What if you made a business out of the skills you already have? Or just get a second job. We've heard of all these things, and there's pros and cons with all of them. There's not a right or wrong answer. They're just pros and cons with all of them. But what's the same is that it will cost you an investment of time and energy. So here's an interesting question. What do the wealth experts do? Those same wealth experts that's helping us to snowball our money, the CPAs and the licensed attorneys and the real estate professionals, the high yield account managers and insurance agents, land bankers, precious metals experts, trust experts. We didn't even talk about all these. What do they do to make additional income? Well, at a bare minimum, they actually refer amongst each other. They refer customers to each other, and then they pick up a referral fee. Now, that's not the only thing that they do, but it's kind of like bare minimum. They refer amongst each other. Well, why don't we take a page from their book and just refer people to all those experts through this program? And here's the bottom line. 12 referrals to this program gets you $600 a month, and that's a residual. So the same 12 referrals, the same 12 customers month after month will give you $600 a month. And it basically scales from there. And you see that little asterisk there, but don't worry, that's a good asterisk, not a bad one, because they count direct and indirect referrals. See, there's a 3 and free program. So when a customer refers 3 people, their membership fee is waived. So customers will refer people to this class, to this program. It's because they just want to get their membership for free. So we know that we can get 12 direct customers, $600 a month, but they also count volume customers. So let's say you have 3 free customers, meaning that their fee is waived. So then there was 9 paying customers, right? Well, 3 plus 9, that's still a volume total of 12 customers. Either way, you're going to get $600 a month. I jumped ahead. So whether it's 12 direct or indirect customers, 600 a month, and it scales like that. It scales direct and indirect, and it scales up to, I gave a hint to it, $15,000 a day, not per month, a day. That's how it scales. And there's additional pay in the revenue share, but that's another conversation. So this is a viable option in terms of being able to get a new form, a new stream of income to help increase your buying power as we fundraise for college. So what's the leverage here? Remember we said leverage everything, just invite them to this class. So I do this live on a regular basis. Whoever shared this video with you, they'll know where to point you. But we do this live on a Zoom on a regular weekly basis. The leverage is just invite them to class. We'll talk, we'll answer questions. If they're interested, we'll help them to leverage the program and everybody wins. So the leverage, simply invite people to this class. They'll learn something and they'll get an unfair advantage just like you. So shift, increase, and multiply. See, now we're at the sexy part, right? Multiplying your money. That's when your money is making money. All right. That's that passive income. And I know we kind of talked about that, but let's look at it a little bit more. Now, when we multiply our money, as we multiply it, that's where the funds are coming from in the college fund. The diversified cash flow account and the private reserve account. They're similar, and I'm going to talk about the difference about them. Here's what's the same. Uninterrupted compound interest tax-free. So these are high yield accounts, uninterrupted compound interest tax-free. And it's tied to the stock market. When the stock market goes up, your interest goes up. But what happens when the stock market dips? In these accounts, it flatlines. So you get all the gains of the stock market. When the stock market dips, your interest flatlines. You get none of the dips. So it's just either flat up or flatline, then up. So then this is a high yield account. Folks, this isn't something new. These accounts aren't new. It's been around for over 100 years. But thus far, the wealthy have two things, have kind of gate kept the information, but also the financial experts who provide the DCA and the PRA, they focus their marketing efforts on the wealthy, right? So with this membership model, it makes sense for them to now open up to the masses because now they have economy of scale. So, but here's the thing, that's really not the biggest benefit of these DCA and PRA. With the DCA and the PRA, you can double dip. That means you can take money out of the DCA and it'll still get uninterrupted compound interest as if it never left the account. So when you can double dip with your money, where it's getting interest in the DCA, you take money out of it and you invest, say, in anything, precious metals, real estate, if you know what you're doing, crypto, stocks, okay? So for people who already have a good financial system where they're making money, they have good investments, then by all means, double dip on what you're already doing with the DCA and the PRA. And if you're new to investing, I'm going to show you a couple of options on where you can double dip even within the Make Wealth Real program. So here's the difference between the DCA and the PRA. The DCA is more so for short-term double dipping, meaning you can double dip within 30 days with the DCA. With the PRA, you can start to double dip after a year, okay? So really your college fund, like the actual fund where the money will be stored for college, is likely going to be your PRA if you have some time before your child needs to go to college. So we all heard about that like 509 something savings account, for college. No, PRA. The wealthy have been using the PRA for that purpose. Okay. Now, if college is kind of around the corner, the DCA is where you're going to store the actual college fund. Okay. Typically, the PRA has a bit higher interest rate than the DCA, but they're both high yield accounts. They both have uninterrupted compound interest, tax free. They both allow you to double dip. Okay. Now, that being said, there's something called land banking. Now, we all know that the wealthy have access to inside deals, right? Guess what? You have access to an inside deal. Land purchased in the path of growth in Southern California called Antelope Valley. is available at 20 to 40% below market value. When you enter into the Make Wealth Real program, you have that unfair advantage. You basically have access to that inside deal where you can get land in Southern California 20 to 40% below market, and they're going to build up a green city from the ground up. So you know that it's already 20 or 40% below market. When they start to build the green city, you can do the math and figure out what the value of the land would be. So that is available. So when you're double dipping, that's an option to double dip with. Plus you have that inside advantage. And then precious metals. You can double dip with precious metals. There's a difference between saving with precious metals versus investing with precious metals versus leveraging precious metals. We already talked about saving with precious metals. That's when you're simply locking in your buying power. Remember, an ounce of gold bought in the 80s, buy you a suit, still that same ounce of gold can buy you a suit today. So you simply save, you simply locked in your buying power. But there's something called investing with precious metals, and particularly ratio investing. That's when you're buying precious metals with precious metals. So you take that 1 ounce of gold from the 80s, and then you buy X ounces of silver directly. And then you take those X ounces of silver and you directly purchase Y ounces of platinum, and so on and so forth. And over time, that 1 ounce of gold in the 80s won't buy you just one Italian suit, but 2 Italian suits. You've increased your buying power over time. That's how you do ratio investing with precious metals, buying precious metals with precious metals directly. And lastly, and this is something I get excited about, is leveraging precious metals. There's an opportunity to store your precious metals in a depository. So you heard of Fort Knox, that's a depository. You can store it in a private depository, licensed, insured, regulated, and then you lease out your precious metals to institutional investors. So you're leasing out your precious metals to a Charles Schwab, to a JP Morgan, and they get you a monthly return on investment, a monthly yield, a monthly return between 1.5 and 5% monthly, 1.5 to 5% monthly. If you want to figure out the yearly, you got to multiply by 12. I'll leave that to you. So here's the ability to double and triple dip on your money just within this Make Wealth Real program. So using the money you already have, that seed capital, to enter into this program, this is how, whether you have a little bit of time or a good amount of time, to be able to raise the funds for college and then some, using the money you already have. This is a truly amazing program. I'm very excited to share it. But this is the simple fundraising formula. Been around for over 100 years. I failed to mention that the DCA and the PRA, Walt Disney has used it. President John F. Kennedy has used it. J.C. Penney used it. Some names you might have heard of. Ray Kroc, who made McDonald's what it is today as a global franchise, they used that to double dip and to start their businesses. So this is something that is not new. It's new to the middle class until now through this class and through the Make Wealth Real program. So this is a simple fundraising formula. It's incredible. We already talked about protecting your money. That's through the trust. So all that is going into the trust fund. The trust fund is ultimately your college fund. Everything is owned by the trust. So just a little bonus. This is for the secondary class, something called a central bank digital currency. This is the threat to all of your money. But I've already given you the foundation to protect yourself from a central bank digital currency. Little tidbit. The government is trying to ban paper cash money. They're going to make it illegal to have money, and they want to force you to use one digital bank that the government completely has control over. That means they can freeze or drain your bank account at any time for any reason. So there's a reason why I shared with you multiple ways to generate your money outside the banking system. Now, there's more to it. There's a whole lot more to it than that. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg. But let's start with that and come to the next class. My name is Jerome Bell. It's been great sharing with you. And until next time, share this with a friend. Think about this. This could change your life for you and generations to come. But definitely thank you for watching. And until next time, let's make wealth real.